Welcome, Georgia,
Hi.
to the podcast.
Hi.
Thank you for. I've just stolen you. Is stolen a word? I've just nabbed you. I've just grabbed you from behind the popcorn counter.
Concessions roll.
The concessions roll.
Yep.
Here at Horrific, the horror film festival. So yeah, we had a very brief chat, and I found out that there's maybe a little bit more to you than just someone that works behind the counter at a cinema.
Yeah, perhaps.
So so we'll see what we can get into here. So first of all, tell me about the festival that we're at. Do you know what's going on here?
I know a bit. I'm sure you probably know more than I do. Yeah, I'm here to help Spencer with the event. So jumping on concessions is my little contribution, and it's nice to see how these festivals kind of work. I've kind of been here as a visitor before, but not necessarily for this extended amount of time.
So when you say this extended amount of time, what working here at this
Yeah,
cinema?
just working. Yeah, before I just popped in for some shorts, I think a few years ago. It's always been on my radar, but to be able to actually get here and participate and see some things.
Yeah.
So
because things are changing here, aren't they? A little bit.
They are.
It's
yeah.
Going through what's happening at the moment with that.
As far as I know, this is just anecdotally.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few changes to the cinemas, the setup, so it's a more of a potential casual vibe, and a more membership experience, membership centric experience, with some of the screens, I guess. The screens, the dynamic of how you sit, I think, is going to be altered. So,
and I get the sense of like trying to change it into a kind of a community vibe here, rather than necessarily just like a cinema and a business that you come into.
I believe so. I mean, Spencer's probably best to. I'm hearing this through like just notes, because so I'm potentially working with him as an architect. So help redesign.
Well, right. So that moves us on to you then, Georgia. So tell me a little bit about this other side to you then, the architect.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm going through a little bit of a crisis as to who I am. But yeah, so I am a qualified architect, and I'm at a stage where I'm pursuing more self-employed freelance roles as of the beginning of this year. So it's very fresh as to what I'm doing and who I am, and because I've walked away from like a private, like commercial sector role at the end of last year, and now it's a case of picking up work that I used to do on my side hustle is now becoming potentially my main job. So
that can be scary. That's quite a brave thing to do. It
is brave. It is scary, definitely more scary. But I think when I've been looking around for roles, nothing's quite really grabbed my kind of interest to have that 9-to-5 job where I'm stuck in an office. I just think I've started to realise it makes me feel like a bit of an imposter. It's being someone that I'm not in these commercial sector roles. So that's what's kind of driven my potential move over.
When you say potential, then is there a little element of holding back? Then is there a little bit of nerves going into it so early on?
We're probably about 3 weeks into me deciding to stop pursuing applying for other jobs or looking.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just figuring out what do I already have going on and who am I going to be? What am I going to apply for?
Wow.
Who am I going to talk to? What kind of architect do I want to be?
It's a real moment of sort of self-discovery, transitional. Yeah. And I've had those little moments myself. I was the guy that I was talking to on this just now. We'd both had a similar path, and I was an actor for a long time.
Yeah.
And I thought that was who I was and what I was going to be and do, and I was determined that was it. But for me, when I'd had enough of that, and I found that wasn't working for me, I accidentally had a pause for a moment. Not on purpose, but I had this moment of a pause, and in that pause, I managed to find what I was about and what the next thing was. So how are you finding that at the moment then? How are you finding that change? How are you leaning into it?
It's definitely exciting. I think the big thing, so where it's all come from is that my husband and I, in our spare time before when we're both working. He's a computational designer and he's working. We own a business called Geo Jam. So Georgia and Jamie, Geo Jam.
Nice.
And through this Geo Jam, we've had a lot of creative outlet. We've done a lot of murals. We've done a lot of co-design. We've produced and manufactured things for museums, and we've done a lot of like family orientated workshops, art-based workshops. And so that's been like ticking over in the background. But I'm excited now to have the time to think about what that is, because we've been fortunate enough that a lot of that work has fallen on our laps. And now it's like, right, what would happen if I actually applied for things and looked
full-time effort into that rather than it being a side hustle.
Exactly, yeah. And I find that far more fulfilling. So I mentioned earlier about feeling like a bit of an imposter. I think I had a lot of contradiction between working in a private sector architecture type role and feeling so disconnected with the people that you design for. And the Geo Jam thing is so like people centric, community centric, that it was like pulling in the wrong way. I'd be designing on projects and it's like, are we going to engage people properly? And it's like, oh no, we don't have time. And we're going to move on. It's just the next thing. It's the next thing. And it's like, that just doesn't, why are we here? Like, when designing stuff for people, we're not really talking to people who are directly impacted by what we do. So a big move for me is to be able to like bridge that gap. So bring my professional background into the more community centric and community facing work that Geo Jam's already started to kind of begin.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got the foundation of something already there.
It's there, but it's still a jump.
So tell me, yeah, no, of course, and it's like I say, it's a scary jump. It's not an easy jump to take because there's the financial complications that come with that as well. Yeah, because when you've got you say you're married and the other people rely on that income as well that you're going to be generating. Yeah. When you go into the world of self-employment, it is all down to you, and some months might be quieter than other months. Yeah. But you do sound like there's a fun element to that. Yeah, for definitely. Sure, and exciting. Like it's an exciting time. Yeah. And I guess if you're doing something here to back that up, if you've got like this kind of thing that you're doing here at the moment, could that become the side hustle? As in working sessions, that kind of thing? Yeah. I'll do nothing is beneath me. I'll do anything. Yes, whatever. It's nice to be able to be involved in things like this. Normally, I mean, what's the time? I'd still be in London now. I'd still be. I have to turn these kind of opportunities down. And I think deep down, this is the kind of thing I'd rather be doing. Getting to talk to people and meet new people and and just have that flexibility and to be able to learn and not be like living that monotonous, like the rat race. Yeah, exactly. Of working in the city. This is all stemmed. I was very different before. This is all stemmed from when I had my daughter. I think your priorities completely shift to right. This doesn't work. I don't have time to even be at home. So what can I do? So you realised things that you were missing and quality of life. Yeah, and I was just burnt out. I was just I just didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. So I'm really excited about the future and figuring out what kind of, as I say, what kind of architect I want to be, what kind of designer, who I am as a person. I mean, I've seen a lot of the people that I've seen today, I've seen multiple times, but to actually have the capacity to like learn what everyone's stories are and what everyone's doing and not be like flying in, flying out. And why was that different before then? Because the job was so consuming? I think, so it takes it's your usual demands of a job. And then our Geo Jam stuff is what would integrate us into a lot of what's going on in Havering. But we'd be doing that kind of work after work, late night and weekends. So we'd be like up until 2 in the morning, finishing that stuff off, sending it off. So it's like to have that space to actually be truly creative. I think I'm
really enjoying like that time to just ponder.
Yes.
And not like jump into the next thing because I'm panicking. Like I'm just trying to be really careful to not just say yes because it's about money.
And why do you think that it is that your daughter has encouraged this within you to have this kind of new way of living and this new kind of, it's almost like a new way of philosophy of life, isn't it?
I think I think a lot of people go through it. She's just growing up so quickly. It's
How
just
old's your
happening.
daughter?
21 months.
21. Wow.
It's just all happening so fast. And I think, I could get a job for 2 years or something. And then I'm like, no, she'll be in school then.
Yeah.
So,
I thought you were going to say, my son's 19 and I've got a daughter that's 16. So I know about them growing up fast.
this is the critical time.
It is. And you've got to really enjoy it because I'm telling you now, I don't want to put any fear in, but you're not going to enjoy it when they're a teenager.
I can imagine.
It's a when they become a teenager, it's a completely different.
I'm going to be living with a bully.
Yeah, it's just.
I'm sure she's going to be really mean to me.
Well, you don't know what you're going to get is the truthful thing. And
I'm sure I was mean to my mum.
And like some days my daughter is the most wonderful person on earth, and sometimes she's the worst person on earth.
Yeah.
And she will know, and she won't mind me saying that. She'll never listen to this anyway. But it's teenagers are difficult. That's for sure. So enjoy these early days.
Yeah.
I wish I'd enjoyed the early days more, and I wish I'd have taken a risk and a jump. I put all my dreams on pause when I had young children because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
So like I said, I wanted to be an actor, but as soon as I had kids, I was like, right, I've got to have a house. I've got to have put food on the table, and I've got to take them on holidays, and I need a salary of this amount. And if I look back, that was all wrong, that way that I thought.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to actually, all they wanted was me.
Your time.
And my time and a good version of me. And I wasn't giving them a good version of me. I worked in a bank for 5 years and I was bloody miserable in that time. And that it trickled onto them.
Yeah.
And I think I needed to do that time of working in that job. But I wish I'd gotten out of it sooner. And once I was out of it, I was never going to go back because I could feel the difference in my life for myself and for them.
How old were they?
So up to about 5 and 6 years.
Yeah.
As I was doing the proper job just because I thought that's what I had to do. But yeah, past that, I went into self-employment and haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
I have had tough months being self-employed and I've had really good months.
Yeah.
And it just takes a different kind of mindset being self-employed. It just takes a different, structuring your finances in a different way that sometimes you need to save for the harder months.
Yeah.
But I wish I'd done it sooner.
Really?
and I will never go back. No one's, I don't think I'm ever going to be employed by someone again because my life feels free. It feels like it's mine.
Yeah, this is everything I want.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels more right for me, despite the big, the main concerns as you would have. But it feels definitely more normal. I mean, I grew up, my dad was self-employed, my mum stayed at home, but it's like that's what was modeled. So the kind of typical job was just not, that's the anomaly, I believe, in my family. So
you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've lived it, you've experienced it.
I wouldn't say my dad had freedom though. He was more of a workaholic type. He loved going to work.
But
that was his duty.
but I see that a lot with self-employed people, and I'd say that in a little way I may be a workaholic.
Oh yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, yeah, he enjoyed it. I've always been so grateful that my dad enjoyed working. He came home. He was always in a good mood.
I think that's worth more for me. I think that's worth more than the salary.
Yeah,
that guaranteed monthly income. Hasn't weighed out for me that was a benefit. Yeah, to have that.
Yeah.
And I love every minute of my existence now, whereas I didn't then when I was under that working for the bank under that roof. So let's go back a bit. I want to find out a bit more about you then.
Okay.
So where did this sort of creative life, this life as an architect, begin for you? Did you always know that that's what you was going to pursue?
I think so. Architecture is quite a pursuit once you start. So from leaving college and starting university, it's like 10 years before you're registered and like qualified. So you commit to like 3 years at like undergrad, and then you work for a year, or I did a bit more, and then you go back and do your master's, and then you go back to work, and then you do your professional qualification. So
there's a lot of work to do before you can get out there and do it.
and just like start. Yeah. So it's been like a big defining part of probably most of my like adult life is been in education. And it's like trying to step away from that. That's not my defining feature, you know, like that title is it's just a job.
Yes,
but it's been so like demanding of my life. But like uni, it's the workload is a lot, and the demands are very high, and it's very stressful. It's very competitive as a profession. So, and you're kind of expected to do it it's one of these passion professions where you're kind of expected to just work late and get on with it.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, no, this is not on. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of where it all started. So once I kind of started it, I was quite committed to finishing it, I guess. I did have a little wobble in the middle before going back to do masters, but I'm really glad I did. But yeah, it's just all consuming, and then you finish your part 3, that's what you call it.
Yes, yeah.
And then you're like, right, what do I do now? Is this it?
You're just then out in the world. And
You're like 25 and you're like done.
yes, yeah. And
Well,
how did you
probably
feel?
older
How did you feel at that point then, coming out of university and the world
Relief,
was open
like I could
up to you?
actually go
Yeah.
to bed without guilt. It's just so much work. But if you love it, you love it. But yeah,
So you do love it though, yeah?
some parts of it.
Some part. What parts do you love first of all?
I love what I think I've started to turn Geo Jam and that Geo Jam work that we do into. So it's that people-centric placemaking aspect of architecture where you're designing in response to whether it's an environment or a user group. And what I love about engagement is that I'm not expected to know all the answers. I mean, it's major like imposter syndrome. But I think the best thing is that I don't want to have the answer as to how you best live. You know how you best live, and it's my job to facilitate that into a design or an output with you. So it's really, for me, architecture or being an architect is about carrying those ideas through and showing and demonstrating what is possible. But the idea was never mine.
No.
And that culturally is very different to how you're taught in a way. So you're kind of taught like, this is my thing. This is my design.
So when you say what you're taught at university, that was kind of what you was being
Professionally,
kind of
there's still
brought up to
there's a lot
believe.
of like ego and stuff around it.
Yes,
and there's
yeah.
like a very old school. There's old school nature around it where, you know, it's not as people centric as I'd like to, or my experience hasn't been. That's not.
And I wonder if that's what people using that service as an architect would be looking for. Do they really want someone that's ego driven to design their home, or
If
to
you're
design
after a
their
particular
cinema?
style or something, or
Okay.
whether you want someone to come in and go through all of the options with you and what's possible, what's not possible, what's maybe a better idea, or, you know, let's nurture this
This thing.
thought together.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
I love
It's almost
love
like
that.
you want to take people on a journey to
Yeah.
discovery, to find something.
You don't get that level of interaction with end users at a more like higher employment level. That's something I've only ever found through our Geo Jam work.
Why do you think that is?
Time is money. a bit of that. Resourcing. It's a very, very competitive market. Like, it's hard to win work. It's hard to get work, like things built. So yeah, it's a lot of low fee, a lot of work, lots of overtime. The culture is a lot of overtime.
Yes,
and we don't get paid for the overtime. That's just kind of expected as part of the job. But that's across the board. That's an industry thing.
So if you could, hypothetical for you, if you could go back to that moment that you was at university, having experienced the professional world, what advice would you give to yourself at that moment of leaving? What would you say to yourself before you before you started to go out?
Oh dear. I think this is hard.
It is a difficult one, isn't it?
Well, having what I know now, but if I was walking out of uni, I think what I was doing at uni is the way I was thinking at uni is very similar to where I'm at now. So to continue that pursuit of being people-centric and I think it's just like I don't have to chase the money and or the status of it, or like you join a practice and you're expected to go from architect assistant, then you become qualified, then you're an architect, then you go senior, and then you're an associate, and then you might become senior associate, and it's like that ladder of just progression. It's like I don't actually have to do that. Like, and I also don't have to know everything to be as competent to get there. Like in that way. Like, so yeah, not having to chase just follow the standard format and maybe do something a little bit riskier. Because I've always had this Geo Jam thing going on, but maybe I clearly enjoy this. This is what I'm seeking out for in my spare time.
Yes, yeah.
So let's think about what you're doing.
Well, what could you
Don't just
do?
join the rat race.
How could you be a bit more risky with Geo Jam then?
Just allocate some more time to it.
Is that all the risk is? It's just time.
Do things that this is where I'm at though.
We're discovering.
Yeah, so this is what we're figuring out, like who we are and what do we want to do. My husband Jamie and I have very different skill sets. So he's more on the fabrication engineering side, whereas I'm more of a strategy engagement side. So we have some great skills between us, but we try and do too many things, I think.
Okay.
We've done murals. We've done like product design. We've done with workshops and stuff. So it's like trying to find that umbrella term and trying to figure out what we do want to do, what we don't want to do. Sorry, I'm being vague.
Is that for protecting your time?
It's like basically just writing a business plan, I think, to kind of define what it is that we enjoy and what kind of work we want to accept and what kind of things we want to apply for, rather than get caught up in commissions that we're just not enjoying and it's just difficult. Yeah. We've had the privilege of being able to turn things down before, and
that's what you want to continue being in that space.
If I can, and that's like a very privileged thing to be able to do.
Writing a business plan though is quite a tricky thing to do though, isn't it? It takes time and it's not very fun.
No,
is it? And like my background of self-employment's in a very different fields, but I've found what works best for me, and you don't have to take any advice from me. Because
I hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
I don't know if I know what I'm doing, but what has definitely worked best for me is just starting.
Yeah,
is just doing it. Every time I sat down and did a business plan, I never actually got the thing off the ground, because I'm someone that comes up with ideas quite a lot. There's a lot of ideas that have gone through my mind over the past 20 years of being self-employed, and every time I tried to do it the proper way,
Yeah.
The way that we were probably taught or the way that we're told to do it, yeah, just nothing happened. But every time that I just started and figured it out as I went along, that's when it worked out. That's when it worked out with the podcast.
Yeah.
That's how I'm 300 plus episodes in 18 months later. And this started off as one thing.
Yeah.
And has become a completely different thing, and is now my business as well, as where it wasn't supposed to be the business in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I found my way through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that there's, that's the fun side.
Yeah, that's the exciting part for me.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finding your way.
Yes, definitely. I think there's just a few things like, do I do people's house extensions, or do I get into more like family-based workshops and stuff? Is it a bit of everything?
So what does the ideal future look like then?
Freedom of time. I've been such a kind of, like, as I said, with uni, and it's been back to back with like deadlines and the amount of work, and then you get caught in the 9-to-5 thing, which is, all fine for a while. And I just think it's been so frustrated. It's funny, like, since I've stopped working and I have this time, the best part about it is that I'm able to go to the gym or go for a walk with my sister at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's like,
that's amazing.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do, really. I obviously spend time with my daughter, but in terms of like I can, let's just go get a coffee or something. Like, yeah, it's been so far quite nice. I'm quite good at it.
Yeah.
If you're good at being unemployed.
Yeah, but you're working towards something.
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
I think it's the culture that kind of puts that on us, isn't it? It's the culture and the society, and you feel a little bit of guilt. Do you ever get that? I got it in the beginning for sure. Of
like just having this time. Yeah, I think I get more panicky, mainly late at night, when I'm like, oh my God, I need a job. I can't do this. And then in the day, I'm like, it's fine. Right. It'll figure itself out. It's fine. Yeah. So,
well, I would say another bit of advice, and I'd say lean into that as much as you can.
Go to bed earlier.
Go to bed earlier. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah. Oh, I am excited about it. And
good.
There's like things in the pipeline, and it's navigating. Like I said, it's just having the mental capacity to even give it a thought has been wonderful.
Well, do you know what? I would every now and then I have some conversations on this podcast where I'm like, I'd like to come back to this in like a year's time.
Oh yeah, okay.
And see where you've
failed
got
miserably.
No, but failure is great. Like I'm a lover of failure, actually.
Yeah.
Like that's how we learn. That's where we learn what doesn't work and what does work. And it feels bad, the failure, but it's important, I think.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see where we are in a year from now. See where we've got to on the journey.
See what the cinema's looking like.
See what the cinema's looking like and how you've redesigned it for them.
If I even do it. If Sensor has me.
I'm sure he will. I'll talk to him afterwards. And
he's show me around. So
good.
Maybe.
Good.
We'll see.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I look forward to seeing it. So if anyone wants to find out more about you or wants to find out more about am I pronouncing it right? Geo Jam?
Geo Jam.
Where do we find you?
Mostly at the moment. You could probably see most of our stuff on Instagram. So it's Geo Jam, which is GEO_JAM. And you can find our work and some of our bits there for now. I'm sure I'm going to be on that as well.
Well, thank you so much for sharing today. We've had a wonderful conversation. And if anyone has been watching or listening, we appreciate you as well for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.